You're listening to The Rich Life Revolution with me, Michelle Cooper. My mission is to empower you to step into your next level of wealthy. You'll hear all the deets, a little bit of inspiration, and real life takeaways so that you can create your own rich life revolution. Let's dig in. Hey there, welcome back to the Rich Life Revolution. I'm your host, Michelle Cooper, and today we're diving in to a game-changing conversation, one that has the power to transform the way you run your business, navigate relationships, and set yourself up for success. We're talking about expectations versus agreements. This is a concept that, when fully understood, can really eliminate stress, frustration, and confusion in both your personal and your professional life. Now, let's be honest. We've all been there. You expect something from a client, from a partner, or a team member, only to feel disappointed or even betrayed when they don't deliver. But here's the kicker. Were they even aware of your expectations? And better yet, was there an agreement in place? Well, in today's episode, we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about the biggest difference between expectations and agreements, why expectations set us up for frustration and resentment, how clear agreements create trust, alignment, and ease. I'm going to give you the exact steps to shift from assumptions to clear, empowering agreements. And we're also going to talk about real life examples of how this has played out in my business, in my leadership, and even in my personal relationships. This is one of those episodes where you might just have a few aha moments. So grab your notebook because you're going to want to take notes. So let's get into it. Let me tell you a little story. I learned all about expectations versus agreements from my own lived experience. I have what in my mind feels like very clear expectations for the delivery of services in my business. However, I've come to understand that my expectations have not been communicated clearly to my team members. And I've also come to understand how those expectations are received in often a negative way. Because you see, expectations are often unspoken assumptions, things we believe should happen, but often haven't been clearly communicated. And that was my situation. I thought I was being clear, but actually I wasn't. So I had a situation where I expected a team member to really take initiative on a new project. I thought I had laid this out really clearly, and I thought I had explained everybody's role. And I kind of thought that people understood that I expect them to take initiative, but they didn't. They sat there and waited for me to deliver things to them. They sat there and waited for the client to give them information instead of taking initiative and being proactive and seeking the information that they needed. I felt let down by the team, but what I realized is I didn't really discuss this expectation with them. I just assumed, right? That's the unspoken assumption. And what happened was it created misunderstandings. It created a lot of frustration for everyone, and it ended up creating resentment for me and a few of the team members. They felt that they were being unfairly judged on their performance because they didn't feel the expectation was communicated clearly. This often happens especially in leadership and in client relationships. And I've come to know this in my core business. We think the client knows what the expectation is. whether that's receiving documents from them or information or even why we need things, but they don't. They don't understand that piece. So my key takeaway in this is that, like, my key reflection is that expectations without communication lead to disappointment, and they lead to poor results, and they lead to frustration. And frustration for me is where I lose my mind. On the other hand, if we think about the power of agreements, so agreements are clear, they're intentional, and they're mutual. So they remove ambiguity. They provide clarity for everyone. Now, unlike expectations, agreements are spoken and acknowledged. They are defined, right? So we know who is responsible for what. And they ensure alignment and accountability. So, for example, instead of assuming a client will respond to an email within 24 hours, we can create an not an expectation, scratch that. We can create an agreement where both of us define the response times and the boundaries around that. My real life example of this was actually a client of mine who said, "Hey, Michelle, could we agree that you will not email me outside of 9 to 5 and outside of Monday to Friday? Because I'm trying to create clear boundaries between work and my home life." No problem, right? That's an agreement that we made. And so if it's like 7 o'clock, or maybe it's like 5:30 on a Wednesday, I may have an email ready to go, but I will program it or schedule it to go out the next day at 9 a.m. So agreements allow for honest conversations and they prevent future conflicts. So you might be wondering, how do I shift from expectations to agreements? Because maybe you can see in your own life where you have expectations, but you don't have agreements. So the first step is to identify the unspoken expectation. So you can ask yourself, what am I assuming here? For example, you expect your business partner to handle all the sales calls, but you guys have never actually discussed it. Business partner relationships can be volatile, and agreements are super important. Step 2 is to have the conversation. Clearly express what you need and invite collaboration. So instead of assuming, for example, that your assistant knows you want daily updates, say, can we agree on a daily check-in by noon? Even that language is different than I need a daily check-in by noon, which would be more of an expectation. Step 3 is to confirm the agreement. So we restate what was agreed upon, and if needed, we put it in writing so that everybody's on the same page. This can look like, so just to confirm, you'll be responsible for weekly financial reports and I'll handle all client invoices. Are we all on the same page? Absolutely. And step 4 is to revisit and adjust as needed. Because you know what? Life happens. Revisiting agreements ensures they are still serving everybody that's involved. So the thing to remember, right, is that expectations lead to frustrations, but agreements create clarity and success. Whether it's in business, in your leadership, in your personal relationships, doesn't matter. Clear communication is key. And so the next time you feel disappointed, ask yourself, did I set an expectation or did we create an agreement? There's one key thing here that I listened to as part of a training on the difference between expectations and agreements in a leadership group that I'm in. And the speaker was saying, if you don't like a situation, go and create an agreement that changes it. I was like, oh my God, mind blown. So now I'm looking at what are the situations that I don't like. And then I'm going to book some meetings with those people involved and say, let's create an agreement. Do not simmer in your own toxic expectations. It destroys relationships. And I'm sure, as you can agree with me, that relationships are the most important piece of this. What a powerful short episode. I hope this gold nugget sent straight to you from my heart was useful. I hope it sparks some light bulb moments for you, as it did for me. If you found this episode helpful, take a screenshot and share it on Instagram, tagging me at Michelle B. Cooper so I can see what resonated with you the most. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future episodes where we dive into everything you need to create your rich life on your terms. Thanks for listening. And remember, clarity creates success. Start shifting from expectations to agreements and watch your world transform. Until next time, take care. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you got at least one gold nugget today. Be sure to grab your copy of the Rich Life Revolution workbook to help you set the foundation for your next level of wealthy. Get it now at richliferevolution.ca, and I'll see you later.